Gnothi Seuton, love, peace, blessing, all manner of wealth, goodness, happiness, healing, health, abundance, every good thing that is good for you. Something good is going to happen to you today. Gnothi Seuton, know yourself, experience Gnosis, have your own personal connection with infinite creator in an infinite abundance of infinite love and well-being. And when talking about our connection with infinite creator, of course both male and female, we have been talking about creating sacred space. And when you know yourself, Gnothi Seuton, when you know yourself, when you have a gnosis, when you have a personal knowledge, revelation of who you truly are as a child of the Most High, as a human being, as a powerful, creative sovereign of your own life, that gnosis and that experience is wisdom and true power. And in creating your sacred space, what you're doing is creating a sacred you. And when you recognize the understanding of the sacred you with, maybe the viewpoint of sacred space, it's very powerful to consider both physical and non-physical space. And the idea, even in Constantine's Bible, in Leviticus and a little bit in Numbers, when they speak of trespassing, and no trespassing. And of course it's the idea that the only one who's going to have land is the king and the people he chooses. Nobody else has land, so they weren't real concerned about everybody being a real victim of trespassing. It's only the important people, the chosen ones, who get to have land and get to have things. Everybody else is a worker bee, everybody else is a slave. But the idea of trespassing, and when you recognize your own personal sacred self, that is yours. That's your inalienable right. As our very, very enlightened founding fathers recognized, that there is a part of you that is, well, actually there's all of you, every part of you is sacred. Your whole entire being is sacred, and you have the absolute right. It's not a privilege. It's not something that only certain people deserve or have been chosen to have or receive. It's for all of us. And the sacred you, there's to be no trespassing on the sacred you. And because that is you, that's who you are, and it all belongs to you. And my wife and I, both coming out of the Christian ministry of Constantine's church and Bible. It's funny to say that now, but anyway, we were just so conditioned that it was our calling, it was our job, it was our ministry to fix everybody. And of course, since that's our ministry, we obviously had the wisdom, we obviously knew what was wrong with everybody else. And therefore it was our mission, it was our place to fix everybody. And for any of you who have lived in that type of space, and my wife is really, really loving, very, very kind, and of course I strive to be as well. But when we think of ourselves and our unconditional love for each other, when we started trying to fix each other and repair each other, boy, that love just became disguised and camouflaged awful quick. when you're always pointing out what's wrong with somebody, and of course everything that's wrong with somebody else is something that affects you. It's always something that you want them to change to make your life better. But boy, can that grow old quick. And it can create quite a strain. And it also creates the dualism illusion that all of my problems, everything that is a problem for me right now, everything that I'm suffering is my wife's fault. It's always somebody else's fault. It's not my own energy. It's not my own frequency. It's not my own vibration that I'm currently vibrating at and creating a magnetic field that's attracting all of my experience to me. Not that. But it is her fault, and that's the trap. And of course, for influences that exist outside of our material world, the energy that we create through that type of struggling, that type of always striving with each other, that's what they feed off of. That's their food. And so we find out, again, Gnothi Seutan, when we know ourselves, when we have a gnosis, an understanding of what truly is going on, what the human race is truly experiencing, we can see that and we can understand it, and we can recognize that influence from the outside that has just walked all over our sacred space, in many cases knowingly, just like our farmers know what they're doing when they create fences, and they use their knowledge of cattle and all types of meat animals to keep these animals secluded, keep them docile, basically keep them so that they're just fattening up until they're fat enough for them to slaughter. It's the same type of concept. It's the same type of energy. When you think of it like that, farmers are completely trespassing over the animal's sacred self, the animals that they are raising to slaughter. And I'm not saying anything against farmers. I'm not, saying that they're bad people. We're all misled. We're all deceived in this world. We're all, trying to experience gnosis, experience Gnothi Seutan, experience an awakening from the illusion that is Maya, that, we are led to believe that this world is all about and that we are experiencing. Excuse me. And so when you recognize your sacred self, and you recognize that no one has the right to trespass into your sacred self, you can start to heal, because you call that energy back to yourself. And you also will build up a barrier, a fence, a place where where trespassers can't go past. And because it's energy, and so when you feel someone else's energy trying to trespass over you, you can just release a little bit of energy, maybe just a little bit muscle flex, or if you want to do I Dream of Jeannie, blink your eyes, just something that you're mentally in your mind releasing a force that creates a force field. You're releasing energy, a burst of energy that drives that emotion out of your sacred space. So instead of feeling it, and instead of it latching on to you and attaching to you, you expel it from your sacred space. And you can still observe. You can still be compassionate. You can still, be present in what's happening, but it's not attaching to you. It's not an icy tentacle attaching to you, and like a parasite making a bond that they can feed off of you. All of that type of influence remains outside of you. It cannot enter your sacred space, because you're a sacred person. You're a sacred being, and that is the right that is given unto all of us. And where we have, run into problems as a human race, and where we have been manipulated and controlled, is through trespassing that has been influenced into our sacred space. And it's very, very powerful for us to begin to build that. And then when we become a sacred person, And then we start to dwell inside our sacred space, inside our own personal temple, when we recognize that our brain is the Holy of Holies, it's the sacred place, it's the Ark of the Covenant, and we can lift our consciousness, our awareness up into our brain. We can receive the energy flow from our crown chakra and be sovereign over the complete totality of our being, body, soul, and spirit. Then we can recognize change, and then we can be in a place of authority, sitting on our own personal throne, and then we can speak as a prophet over our own life. And since we have had this sacred experience, since we've had this gnosis, since we've had this connection, every prophecy that we speak will be one that is positive. It will not cause harm to anyone. And through that, we will find the great awakening of our planet. Through each one of us experiencing that sacred space, those inalienable rights that are given to each one of us, and there will not be any trespassing. We will not be in a situation where we're a victim or where we are dependent on any outside force. When you think about how close we almost came here recently to being totally turned over to anarchy and socialism, it's a sobering idea. It's a sobering fact to recognize, that the United States could have almost was that close to giving all of our freedom away under the illusion and under the guise that it was going to be something that type of mentality. So we use the word government. I don't know. Is that what was going to happen? But that type of authority over others, all it does is end up in ethnic cleansing, all types of problems, because it's the same spirit. It's the same Babylonian. It's the same Sumerian. It's the same right of kings that think that they are the chosen ones and have the right to sacrifice everybody else for their holiness. And beloved, I'm sure you can recognize that that is not true. That this is an abundant inheritance given unto all of us to equally share. And when we all individually regain and take over our own sovereignty and don't look to others, I think it's what John F. Kennedy meant when he said, ask not what your government can do for you, but ask what you can do for your government. In other words, don't be in the situation where you're underneath them receiving something from them like their God. It's the other way around. You are on top of everything that is yours as a sovereign being, and you are the one who speaks as a prophet and gives the orders out from your own personal kingdom. And then when all of us are operating and living in that freedom, of course there will be no trespassing against others in any way, shape, or form. And then we will have no need for anybody else to enforce those rights for us. So love, peace, blessing, all manner of health, wealth, and goodness, and shalom, nothing missing, nothing broken, unto you and your family. Gnothi Seuton, something good is going to happen to you today. Namaste.